Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my interviews. Now, you may know that I've been out and about doing some talks, public speaking and meeting you wonderful people, which has been actually, since all of this, the best part of it. It's all very well sitting behind a camera and waffling my opinions, but far better to have the cabbages and the tomatoes lobbed at me to know whether what I'm saying makes any sense. And so far, you actually haven't been able to do that. Or not that you haven't been able to, you haven't chosen to, which is very nice and reassuring. Now, some of the places I've gone to, and I've met some amazing speakers, amazing people. And as you know, the lovely Liz Phillips, who's been on the show, who's organised the Great Resist, the answer to the Great Reset, which the powers that were, as I like the term that people have been using recently, the powers that were are trying to sort of force on us. And the answer to that, of course, is the Great Resist, and it's carrying around the country. It's already been in a number of places, and it's coming up to Liverpool. Liz is on the line. Hello, Liz.
Hello. A bit battered
Hello.
and bruised from the Gale's Storm Kieran, but we're okay.
Oh, we seem to have a number of these bizarre storms that come from nowhere and disappear. We've had a bit of rain down here on the south coast, but you're in mid Wales somewhere.
No. I'm further along than you. I'm in Kent.
Oh
I'm
yes, of course you
up
are.
on the
That's right.
top.
Why did I think you were in Wales? I don't know. You're in Kent. That's right.
Yes, no, I used to be in Mid Wales, Richard. I did live in Mid Wales, but no, I'm in Kent.
Oh
Right up
yes.
on the top though, and it's was a little drafty, if we could put it that way.
Yes, and you did ask me at the beginning of this before we press the record button, have I got electricity? And of course, clearly I have. But this is one of the things that we just take for granted, don't we? That a tree can come down, cut a pylon or something like that, and then we're back in the dark ages, having to fend for ourselves,
Well,
which is sometimes.
you might be Mr. Vobes, but I have to tell you, we're on solar or a generator here, so we have no problem. We can smile a bit now, although
Oh,
it
good.
does cost a little bit of extra work for my husband,
Yes.
because he has to make sure that there's fuel in the battery, sort of thing.
Yes.
But therefore, we are not on the grid anymore.
Oh, well, this is where I would like to be a bit more independent, as indeed I think a load of people, especially since the energy bills come in and the threat of kicking your door down and sticking a smart meter on your wall. Anyway, these are the sort of things that we're trying to resist. All this sort of nonsense that's being shoved down our throats that nobody's asked for, nobody's begged the governments to give us. And you've been very busy organising these amazing conferences, and I'm very thrilled to have been invited along. And this is the third coming up. Am I correct?
It is. We've
And
done
that's
one
in. Yes. No. Go on.
one in Newport in South Wales in June. Then we moved to Peterborough in September. And now November on the 11th, Armistice Day, we're in Liverpool.
Wonderful. So yeah, Liverpool, of course, very famous for all its seagoing stuff and all of that. I've been to Liverpool one, and of course the Beatles have been up there. So another conference with some fascinating speakers. And I know you're so busy getting some really interesting speakers that a lot of people don't have that opportunity to sit in front of and listen to with their wise words. So I know you're going to tell me who you've got coming.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic, Richard. We try and just shift the emphasis a bit. Sometimes we have the same speakers because they're very much loved. And so, but we move the emphasis because our every speech goes up on the site afterwards, on our website afterwards. So we want to make sure it's different and fresh every time. But we're going to concentrate this time. First of all, there's a great move now. We can all see what's happening in Parliament or the COVID inquiry. So we're majoring a lot of this time on health. And you won't believe that the great Dr. Robert Malone is speaking. So
Wow.
he's not with us, unfortunately. I've done a video with him, but it's specially for us. It's not a video done for anything else. I think that's incredible of Robert because you can see how much time he takes. There are others too that will be speaking, including Dr. Sarah Myhill. Now, Sarah was persecuted by the GMC, because she worked between handing out, if you like, normal pills and working with her patients, going down the natural remedy. And she felt very much foul of the GMC, not from her patients; they all adore her. And so she's actually done an interview for us, and she is absolutely wonderful. She's so inspiring. Then she's
I've had her on
actually
the show. I've had her on the show twice,
you've,
and she, yeah, and she's been
Sarah's absolutely.
yeah, lovely lady. And in fact, just as a side note, when Julia had an issue and she had to go to hospital, I text Sarah, and Sarah just gave us some very interesting information about the policies of what to ask for and when. And it was fascinating in the hospital, seeing the hospital being what, as if you're not supposed to know how to do this or to do that. So yeah, she is one of our heroes.
Yes, she's absolutely wonderful. I've known her quite a long time, a little bit in a previous life, because she's like us and wanted the sovereignty back in the UK. I won't say any more than that, but she was a stalwart at those times. She's
Ah,
absolutely wonderful. So, and also we've got Dr. Neil McRae again, and Neil always does something different, and he's just such great fun, and he always gives, if you know, value for money, I think is the expression. And I'm hoping that, still hoping that we might get a couple of others, Richard. So, but I won't say anything about that. That'll be a surprise on the day. Okay.
ah, yes.
And
I
then
look.
we're moving on. And a lot of what we're talking about at the moment, with the government in the state it's in, we've got to change all this. We can't go on
Mm.
like this. We all agree. So there's a wonderful council in Thetford, and Mark Taylor has set up with others a sovereign council. And we're talking, as you know, with the Great Rising, about changing from corporate Britain to sovereign Britain. So there's been a sovereign council set up in Thetford because they were so fed up that the council wasn't doing what they wanted. So Mark Taylor's going to come and talk to us. And also on the same sort of theme, we've got the great Michael Tellinger from South Africa, who started
Wow.
One Small Town. Now, Michael, of course, can't come over from South Africa, but he has done a video for us. I'm hoping perhaps somebody from the organisation may be with us to chat as well. But we're going to go through that. And that all dovetails in with changing from corporate Britain to sovereign Britain. And then we've got direct democracy and block voting. And we're going to do live testing of this on the day, with Neil Petrie and Richard Borner. Because if we can get direct democracy, the One Small Town initiative, and the sovereign councils all together, we might be able to start bypassing this damn government or these damned MPs and these damned houses of parliament. I hate to say it because I've been in politics a long time, but you've never seen such a poor example. Looking at the COVID inquiry, Richard, these
Yes.
people aren't fit. They're not fit to do anything, either the civil service or the MPs and the Prime Minister, etc. None of them are fit for purpose, are they?
No, absolutely, and I mean, if you're window shopping for MPs and you look at that lot, that rabble that have been in there, and you go, hang on a minute, you wouldn't be picking those if you had any intelligence in you. And it's so your selection. I've had Michael Tellinger on the show and Neil Petrie as well on this show, so it'd be lovely to. Well, I know Neil gave me his book, his lovely book, which I confess I've yet to read because it's so much
It's an
material.
excellent book. One vote away for anybody that hasn't seen it. But
Yes.
when you look at the standard that we've
Mm.
got in both the civil service and you look at the standard of the language, you and I talked about this earlier. I'd sue the universities if they can't come out with better vocabulary than they've actually used in those text messages and emails and WhatsApps or whatever. I just think they're appalling. They're not even funny and they're not even manly. They're just crass,
Yes.
hopeless.
Yes, and paid lots of money to be like that. And the people you've just outlined, these are quality people, and the people you've had talking in the past on these conferences, all of them could do so much better job with such dignity and humility than these arrogant politicians who are there really for their own egos and their own pockets. and couldn't really operate a party in the paper bag, as they say.
No,
So
but
yeah,
we
I
can't.
mean,
I had to be careful with my language now because we know what we were going to say about in breweries, so I better be careful having had a go.
right.
Now we're starting off with the wonderful, I don't know whether you ever met her, Kathy Gingell. Now, Kathy
No.
Gingell started the Conservative Woman, which is nothing to do with the Conservative Party, TCW as it's always affectionately referred to now. And her story and of how she set up the Conservative Woman and how she nearly went bust because she stuck by her guns and how it all turned round. She's absolutely inspiration to anybody. And of course, talking also about the alternative media will be Peter McIlvenna again, who has done so much work, particularly with America as well as here, because whatever happens over there comes over here. So we've
Mm.
got Peter and Kathy Gingell talking. And then we've got the great Kimberly Isherwood
Oh,
from
brilliant.
Public Child Protection Wales. Again, and we were talking earlier, this meeting that's being held in London with Jordan Peterson at the moment, which is supposed to be the answer to the Great Reset. Um, and they've got a woman on there who's an MP, Miriam Cates, who is the minister in charge of child sex education in this country. Now, if Jordan Peterson had got Kimberly Isherwood on his team, I would have been absolutely over the moon, and I would have looked and to see what they're doing. But there's not a what I call a human being on this lot. And where were the MPs that are working with Jordan Peterson when Andrew Bridgen was standing up in the House of Parliament? Where were they? Where was
Yes.
Danny Kruger? Where was Miriam Cates? Nowhere to be seen. And we think this is an alternative to the Great Reset. I can tell you now, I've got far more faith in the people I deal with, and either local people or national or international people, Richard, than people like the Jordan Petersons of this world with their champagne and caviar. They can go away, as far as I'm concerned. I'm
Well,
so
they're not.
disillusioned.
Yeah, they're
Mm.
just not affected by any of these things in the
No,
same way that your ordinary everyday person who's trying to sort of have a living and wants to get on. These people are just so unaffected by it. They live in a completely different world. And
yeah.
yet they want to tell us and represent us and help us and all of that. I mean, it is astonishingly arrogant of them.
Well, I think it is. It wouldn't be, Richard, if they had Andrew Bridgen or
Hmm.
Neil Oliver or John Campbell or Kimberly Isherwood or people that we know really are on the fighting side. I don't
Yes.
believe any of these. You've got people from the Legatum Institute and all these damned institutes and talking shops, and that's all they ever do. We're offering the practical solutions. Look at direct democracy with block voting, sovereign councils as opposed to the councils, that we've got naturopaths instead of doctors handing out pills. I mean, we're offering the alternative, but from the bottom up, not from the top down.
Mm, absolutely, we are, and it is just curious that none of them of these people have been approached, or if they have, they've turned it down. That are
I
not there.
I
It
suspect they haven't been approached, Richard,
yes,
and I think probably you do as well. Now we've also talking about agriculture this time with some local farmers and also with the wonderful Scott Bright from New Zealand, who is part of the groundswell team down there because we think we've got it bad up here. But I can tell you now, New Zealand have had an appalling time down there. And I've done quite a lot of work with the New Zealanders, and Scott Bright is coming on, plus some local farmers. And we've got, again, the electromagnetic frequencies, 5G. Um, so we're discussing that because a lot has been discovered where people that are putting up masks are using false certificates, etc. They should be prosecuted by the police, but the police won't take up the prosecutions, as you can imagine.
mm,
I suspect there's some of this somewhere, money, and you know what it's like, money, money,
yes,
money. And we are ending up with a wonderful priest, as we usually do. And the priest that we deal with, this one has been an ex soldier. He wasn't a padre in the. He came when he came out, He then became a pilot, but he's just so full of fun. And we're going to end up with him with a little tale from him, and to go out on really go out on a high. And believe it or not, in the middle, we have somebody called Richard Vobes. Now, I don't know whether you know
I
much about this gentleman, but I
have to
know.
check my diary.
Yeah, we've got him halfway through to really to talk about staying positive, because that's what you do, Richard, all the time. You and I both stay positive. I get very cross sometimes, but it doesn't make me any the less positive, if you know what I mean. I could
No.
throw things though at some of these people that we pay an awful lot of money to. Look at the local councils. I think we've got over 40 councils are going to sue for bankruptcy. Are going
40.
to over
Yeah.
40, they reckon, are going to go for bankruptcy.
Well,
And
this is where the
when you see what they
parallel councils should come in, isn't it? Where, more of
absolutely,
these
when you
sovereign
see what they
councils.
yeah, when you see what they spent their money on. I was listening to that Thurrock, the finance officer from Thurrock, had bought a private jet with council money. But whether it was for him or whether it was as an investment, I don't know the answer to that. So it
Yes.
could be. But I mean, what a
Well,
this is
sometimes I suppose in Thurrock, I mean, when you think about where it is, you've got to get across that the river there, the Thames, and sometimes Queen Elizabeth Bridge is quite busy. I can understand, they need to fly over from one side to the other and avoid that whatever it is, £3.50 I think it is in my van or something if I go
yeah.
across the Dartford toll. So I can feel sorry for them at Thurrock.
Well, our local council here, there was a parcel of land went for sale, which was bought by a private investor for 4 million, and then sold to the council for 28 million.
Oh my goodness. I mean, who in the council is being advised on how to buy land? Clearly, they haven't a clue.
And I just tell you, what you do with other people's money,
Hmm.
the corruption in councils, Richard, knows no bounds. And
Well,
so, but we're going to tackle all these problems with all the
yes,
right solutions. So everybody come along, 11th of November.
11th of November, absolutely. And I'm glad you're doing a bit of 5G because I just spoke to a lady who's sent out a freedom of information request to the government about the smart meters and radiation and stuff, and said to them, "Can you tell me, please, if we're forced to have a smart meter, who's liable for that on the insurance? Who's liable for it?" And the government answered, and this is in the video that will come out tomorrow, when this goes out, says, "We don't know. We don't know who's liable." This is the
It's
sort of people
bit,
we're dealing with here, ladies and
bit like
gentlemen.
bit like cars in Luton Airport, really, isn't it?
Well, there you go. Who's liable for that? These EV things? Is it EV? Is it diesel? Who? Oh golly,
Yeah. If
Liz.
you thought that was a diesel fire, I mean, Richard, I'm a woman, so perhaps you could excuse the fact, apart from the fact that I've been in security and done a lot to do with fires in my time, but any woman will tell you that if it's diesel going up, it'll be black. There'll be a
Right.
huge pool of black smoke. You don't have to look at, we all know this from life's experience, of what
Yes.
happens when you get diesel going up. And there was no sign of black smoke. So that was diesel. I'll eat my hat.
Mm, yes, absolutely. Well, this is it. Um, if you like the sound of this, ladies and gentlemen, and the great thing about these sort of events that Liz does and others do as well is that you're in the room. It's great watching videos, and that's really good fun because you can reach all sort of people. You've got an international crowd of talkers there, which is amazing. You're in the room with like-minded thinkers, people sometimes who've just come up because they're in different stages of working out what's going on. So you're not just meeting or listening to the speakers, but you're also talking to other people, and you can ask questions. And I think that is such a good thing for people. It's not you just watched a video and you've gone, oh, well, that was quite interesting. You're there next to somebody, or you're having a cup of tea with somebody, or you're talking to the speaker, and you can ask those burning questions, and you're in a bunch of people who will be open to it rather than giving you a very strange face and go, are you a conspiracy theorist or something? And that's the brilliant thing that you're doing, Liz, is you're bringing all these people together and then they're armed with information to go and talk to other people, and slowly we spread the word, hopefully at a more rapid pace, because time's running out. But it's such a great thing. So how do people get to come along, and where do they get tickets and that sort of thing,
Then
Liz?
I'll send you the link, but it's on the Fat Soma website, FATSOMA website, and it's £5. I think it's £6 because I think Fat Soma take £1, but it's £5 a head, and we're in the Holiday Inn in Lime Street, Liverpool, which is right by Lime Street Station. So anybody that's coming by train, and there's parking very close. There's big parking area close by as well. So we're in the Holiday Inn, Lime Street, Liverpool, 12 till 6, £5 a head. We could charge a lot more money, but the people I want, Richard, are the genuine people. We could
Yes.
charge a lot more money. We could get all the people that do absolutely sod all and just waffle on. I want the people there, the real people, to see exactly what's going on. And we do have a lot of fun, although
And we
it's
do.
serious. No long faces, some serious times, but we do have a lot of fun as well. And let's defeat these people who think they're in charge.
Yes, the people that were, the powers that were. Brilliant, Liz. Thank you so much for letting me know. I'll put all the links in the description, of course, and it would be lovely to meet you all and shake your hands and have a great day, as I know it will be on the 11th of November. So there we go. Liz, take care, look after yourself, keep the roof over you in these stormy days. I'm going to go and bail out now because we've got a bit of flooding in the garden, so I'll sort that out. But in the meantime, thank you very much for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the 11th. Bye for now.